The Major League Baseball Spring Breakout game lineups have been announced, and honestly, I'm pumped. This has the potential to be huge for Major League Baseball. If you don't know what the Spring Breakout games are, let me tell you real quick. It's basically like the Futures game during All-Star Weekend, but even better. From March 14th to the 17th, Major League Baseball teams will be putting together prospect teams. That's right, with their best prospects to play against each other. That way they can showcase their young talent and the next future stars of the league. An incredible idea. Shout out to Major League Baseball for coming up with it, and shout out to Major League Baseball for helping me out with today's video. They actually sent me the lineups and rosters ahead of time as of March 5th. They are subject to change, but for the most part, I have a pretty good idea of everyone who's going to be in this game, and I can go ahead and tell you the guys that I think you should be focusing on the most. So as you can tell, I'm pretty excited to talk about this. Enough of my yapping. Let's get going into these rosters and players to watch. For the Los Angeles Angels, a farm system that, let's be honest, not the best right now, but they do have a couple players that are interesting. And the one that I think you have to watch is Nelson Rada, 17-year-old last year in low A ball, similarly to Ethan Salas. While he didn't put up crazy numbers on the power side, he had a .396 on base percentage, which is absolutely disgusting. You don't see that from 17-year-olds, and he stole 55 bases. Great speed, great talent, super young. Definitely one of my favorite prospects in that system. Other guys to keep an eye out for are going to be Caden Dana, Denzer Guzman, and Francis Texido. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, but an interesting young left-handed pitching prospect for the Angels. Next up, we got the Houston Astros, and similarly again, a farm system that's working its way back up. You got the likes of Luis Baez, who I considered as the best prospect in that system. Spencer Arrighetti could make a major league impact. Bryce Matthews, Zach DeCenzo, but I want to talk about Jacob Melton. Melton's raw power is through the roof. Like, he has crazy raw power potential, along with being a good athlete, which makes him someone I think the Astros are very interested in. He has the ability to be a future center fielder. He steals bases. That combination of power and speed, sky's the limit for him. The ceiling is super high. Definitely the guy I would watch right now with the Astros. For the Oakland A's, low-key, a lot of players that I just personally like. Jacob Wilson, one of my favorite prospects. Darrell Arenaiz is really good. Daniel Susac is an awesome catcher. Steven Echeverria, a Jersey kid. But I gotta talk about Royber Salinas. Now, Salinas throws an upper 90s fastball with a disgusting wipeout slider, like it's a power slider. He's also got a good curveball and working on a fourth pitch that could really transform what his future outlook looks like. He came over to the A's in the Sean Murphy trade from the Braves, and while he has dealt with some injuries, he looked great last season with a 30% K rate in Double-A. If he continues to stay healthy and pitch like that, Salinas is going to be at the major league level in no time. Talk about our friends north of the border. They're sending a lot of their good prospects. Brandon Barrera, Leo Jimenez, Emmanuel Bonilla, who is just like an exciting young prospect, Josh Kasevich, Manuel Beltre, a former big-time international prospect, but I want to talk about Arjun Namala. First-round pick in last year's draft. Really, really young shortstop, but he's got so many tools that make you excited. Worked out with Francisco Lindor as a high schooler, so you should be like, oh, he's around good people. That's smart. Big power potential, really good athlete, good glove at shortstop. He's just raw. Blue Jays got to develop him, but I can't wait to see him play in this game. As for my arch nemesis, the Atlanta Braves, a farm system that's not really that strong right now. Spencer Schwellenbach's the big name that I'm interested in. I believe he's their third-ranked prospect in terms of MLB Pipeline's rankings. He was someone I was a big fan of coming out of the 2021 draft out of Nebraska because he was a two-way player. Braves are only using him on the pitching side, and that's fine because last year he was great. Schwellenbach had an ERA at 2.49 in the minors in 65 innings. The strikeout rate could go up for sure, but he had a whip under 1, so he was limiting base runners, limiting hard contact, throws a little bit funky. Another year healthy for him could do wonders. Could be a very good pitcher for the Braves in the future. Brewers low-key have a loaded farm system. I mean, Jackson Chourio is going to be playing in this game. You've heard me talk about him a ton. Jefferson Cuero, one of my favorite catching prospects. Tyler Black, Wright State legend. Brock Wilken, Robert Gasser, Eric Batanti. I mean, again, this farm system's loaded. But the guy you got to watch is Jacob Mizorowski. When he steps on the mound, stop what you're doing. Go watch that 6'7" Gumby throw the ball because he throws 100+ miles an hour, has a disgusting slider and a really good curveball. He has the chance to be a future ace. Like, there's no doubt in my mind this guy could be one of the best pitchers in baseball one day, and you can get an early look at him in these breakout games. Cardinals farm system also low-key loaded. Mason Wynn's going to be playing in some of these games. Tink Hence, Tekoa Roby, Victor Scott, Thomas Sajazi, who is almost my pick here. Chase Davis, maybe the next Cargo. Shout out Gordon Graceffo, Cranford, New Jersey, Cranford High School. They are rivals with where I went to high school, Westfield, but still cool to see a local kid. I ended up picking the Won Bin Cho as the player to talk about. International prospect from Korea, not what you normally see. We normally see the professional Korean players come over and get signed. He went the international prospect route, and he's looked pretty good thus far as a 19-year-old last year in A-ball. Won Bin Cho had a .376 on base with a .270 average. He stole 32 bases, plays a good outfield. Really nice left-handed swing, lefty-lefty as well in the outfield, always cool. Big for the country of Korea for a guy like this to be involved in this game and be playing, and also he's just like a good player. I want to see him go up against the top prospects. Keeping in the NL Central, we've got the Chicago Cubs, and you have first-round pick Cade Horton. Owen Casey is just, I mean, he's so much fun from Canada. Kevin Alcantara is like 6'12", and he's a freak athlete, but Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw's who we're talking about. First round pick by the Cubs in this past year's draft. Matt Shaw has just been incredible in the minors. The exit velos have been disgusting. He's been hitting the ball harder than almost anybody in the minors right now. Doesn't have a lot of swing and miss in his game. Got all the way to Double-A last season after being drafted and just raked at every single level. In 38 games, he had 8 homers, 9 doubles, 4 triples, and 28 RBIs, stole 15 bases. This dude could be in the majors by the end of the season. I love what the D-backs are doing. They're sending like all their top prospects. So there's a lot of good choices here. You're going to have Jordan Lawler in this game, Tommy Troy, Drew Jones, Ivan Melendez, the Hispanic Titanic, Christian Robinson, AJ Vukovich, someone who I'm a big fan of. But I got to talk about Yu-Min Lin. Yu-Min Lin is a 20-year-old left-handed pitcher from Taiwan, and he's low-key been really good for the Diamondbacks the last couple seasons. Last year got up to 121 innings, up to Double-A as a 19-year-old. That is just so cool. And he was rocking a pretty high K rate, like around 25 to 30% for most of the year. He's got a fastball that sits in the low 90s, but because he's a little bit smaller, he does have some decent IVB on it and can touch the mid-90s. What stands out for him is that plus changeup, a good curveball, good slider, good control, and the Diamondbacks can make pitchers out of nothing. So I'm going to keep an eye out for Yu-Min Lin, someone I haven't been able to see a ton of just yet. One of the few times the Dodgers don't have a stacked farm system. They still have good players, though, and the one that I can't wait to watch is going to be Tyrone Lorenzo. Lorenzo last year as a 19-year-old in A-ball, 24 homers, 24 doubles, 70 RBIs, walked 70 times as well. He's a catcher first base, probably going to end up going to first base at some point, but he's been like my new favorite prospect in that Dodger system. Just a huge dude, 6'3", 200-pound switch hitter with power. Sign me up all day. You also have greats like Dalton Rushing that are going to be there. DePaula's going to be playing in this game, Jackson Ferris, Kendall George, but for me, Lorenzo's the stud. Staying out west, we've got the San Francisco Giants. You've heard me talk about Bryce Eldridge, Walker Martin, Grant McCary, all great players, but Hayden Birdsong, that's the guy who I learned about and went, whoa, who are you? Last year in Double-A, he was rocking a 30% K rate. He has a fastball that touches 98 miles an hour. Really good curveball that gets a ton of swing and miss with a great third pitch slider, working on that fourth pitch again to take him to that next level. But at 6'4", 215 with that frame and touching 98 and getting that swing and miss with great mechanics, Hayden Birdsong alert, what's up? Cleveland Guardians are up next, and you know about Chase DeLauder. I love him. You know about Kyle Manzardo. What about the other Chorio? Jason Chorio. Props to Jason for being good. Like, his brother's completely outshining him. It's not fair, but he was great last year as an 18-year-old, got to A-ball with the Guardians. While we haven't seen much power out of him yet, I mean, he's still basically a child. He hit 321 with a 446 on base, 419 slugging, and 864 OPS last season between rookie and A-ball. And the Chorio name's carrying a little weight right now, so I want to see what he can do. Throw him into the fire. The Mariners have my favorite roster out of all the teams in this game. It's loaded. I'm just going to rip off like 13 names to you. Cole Young, Harry Ford, Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montes, Felnin Celestine, Johnny Farmello, Ty Pete, Jonathan Clase. The list goes on and on. But of course, I'm talking about my boy Lazaro Montes. Baby Yordan Alvarez. That's what he is. Legitimately, my favorite prospect probably in all of baseball. 6'3", 210. This dude is a monster of a human. 19 years old. Last year got to A-ball. Hit 13 homers in 70 games with 19 doubles and 61 RBIs. A 303 average, 440 on base, 560 slugging, and 1,000 OPS. And you've seen the clips that have been on here. He hits nukes. Love Lazaro Montes. Spending all the money on his cards. I don't care. I'll go all in on this guy. As for the Marlins, a little bit different here. Their farm system is definitely in a rebuilding mode. And while I've talked about Noble Meyer in past videos, he's their most exciting prospect. Next up on that list is going to be Thomas White, their number 2 in the system. Thomas White was someone I really liked coming out of the draft last year, and the Marlins took him in the end of the first round with the 35th overall pick. Big left-handed starting pitcher with some big stuff. The issue with him is going to be control. Like, he walked a ton of batters last year in 4 innings, but he also struck out a ton. So the stuff is crazy with Thomas White. He has a ton of potential. Marlins have been able to develop pitching. Hopefully they can do it with him as well. The rest of this roster, you're looking at Victor Mesa Jr., former first-round pick Jacob Berry. Diddy Cap was a big international prospect, and Anthony Maldonado struck out 40% of the batters he faced last year as a reliever. My favorite team, the New York Mets, were up next, and I could talk about this farm system forever because I love it. Jet Williams, Drew Gilbert, Luis Angel Acuna, Blade Tidwell, but I want to highlight Ryan Clifford. Clifford came over to the Mets in the Justin Verlander trade last deadline, and it was sneaky and awesome pickup. As a 19-year-old last year, he got to High A Brooklyn with the New York Mets, and he hit 24 homers, 20 doubles, 81 RBIs, hitting 262 with a 374 on base, 480 slugging, and 854 OPS. Major power potential. The bat is crazy. Don't be discouraged by the power numbers being down in Brooklyn. For those of you who don't know, it's impossible to hit there as a lefty. Right field is literally the beach and the ocean. Get him to Binghamton. He's going to hit 30 home runs. He could be a top prospect very soon. The Washington Nationals also have a loaded farm system. You got Dylan Cruz. You got Brady House. You got Yohandi. You got Elijah Green, Dalen Lyle. Shout out my boy TJ White, who I've been all over since the draft combine when I went there a couple years ago. But we're talking about James Wood. James Wood's going to be in the major leagues by by May. He's been doing crazy things in spring training. He did crazy things in the minors. He's 6'6", 240 pounds and hits nukes. He's one of the best prospects in baseball. Last year, 26 homers, 28 doubles, 91 RBIs, stole 18 bases, 874 OPS. Yes, there's swing and miss concern, but I don't care when you can hit like James Wood does. He's gross. Another gross farm system. My goodness, we've got like 6 in a row here. The Baltimore Orioles are nasty. Jackson Holliday, Samuel Basallo, Enrique Bradfield, Dylan Beavers. They're not even sending all their great guys. But I gotta shout out my boy Kobe Mayo. For those of you who remember from the 2020 draft, he was one of my favorite prospects in the entire thing. I thought he was like a top 20 player. The Orioles ended up getting him in the 4th round, and it's been one of the better picks of the drafts thus far. Mayo, first base, third base last year, between AA and AAA, hit 29 homers, 45 doubles, 99 RBIs, a 290 average, 410 on base, 564 slugging, 974 OPS. I don't know if he's going to play for the Orioles. He could be a big trade candidate, especially because he's a right-handed bat, and that's where right-handed bats go to die right now. But the power potential is crazy for him, and I just want to say I told you so. This kid was going to be sick. The Padres are up next, another like really fun farm system. I think it's really cool they're sending their top international prospect from this past class, Leo Dallas DeVries, to the game. That's going to be super cool. Obviously, Ethan Salas is going to be there, Jackson Merrill. But I want to talk about Homer Bush Jr., son of former major leaguer Homer Bush. Jr. was taken in the 4th round of the MLB draft last year out of Grand Canyon, and he's toolsy. The Padres are so good with twitchy players. He's got incredible speed. He's a big dude, 6'3". Hasn't really learned how to hit for big power yet, but it's coming. And I just love the tools that Homer Bush Jr. has. Could be a player that just all of a sudden flies through prospect rankings one day. For the Philadelphia Phillies, I really wanted to highlight Eduardo Tate. He's a 16-year-old who crushed the Dominican League last year. There's not a lot of clips of him, so I can't talk about him too much. You have Mick Abel, you have Aiden Miller, and you have Justin Crawford. And yes, that's right, that's the son of Carl Crawford. So yeah, he's incredibly fast. He's a sick athlete. He's 6'4", 188 pounds. There's room to improve on the power side. Offensively last year, between low A and high A, he was fantastic. Hit 332 with a 392 on base, 467 slugging to 859 OPS. Stole 47 bases in 87 games. Athleticism and tools are through the roof with this kid, and I can't wait to see what he does in the breakout games. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, again, you have Paul Skeens, you have Termarr Johnson, you got Bubba Chandler. But what do you know about Sung Chae Chang? 22-year-old middle infielder from Taiwan who was fantastic in the minors last year. Now, he's a little guy, 5'7". We stand those short kings. But listen to these numbers. 123 games, 13 homers, 23 doubles, 10 triples, 56 RBIs with 26 stolen bases, hitting 278 with a 353 on base, 456 slugging, 808 OPS. We stand the short kings here, and I love to see when international players are doing big things. Speaking of which, the player I can't wait to watch for the Rangers is Sebastian Walcott. 17-year-old, going to be 18 actually when these games are being played, out of the Bahamas, which is low-key becoming a bit of a hotbed for baseball. Walcott last year went from the Dominican Summer League to rookie ball to then high A as a 17-year-old. 7 homers, 13 doubles, 4 triples, 24 RBIs with 12 stolen bases, and 806 OPS, 6'4", 190 as an 18-year-old. Oh, he's so good. He could be so sick. And then the Rangers also have other great players like Brock Porter, Justin Foscue, Jack Leiter's going to be there, Dustin Harris, Abimelec Ortiz with 30 homers as a 19-year-old. Loaded system, loaded team. Tampa Bay Rays are being a little weird. They're not sending necessarily all their top prospects. A lot of guys are still undecided right now when I'm recording this, but one who's not is Xavier Isaac. And let me tell you, people around the league are getting excited about this dude. First round pick by the Rays in the 2022 MLB draft. The power potential is through the roof with him. Got all the way up to high A last year, where in 12 games, he hit 6 homers and 4 doubles with a 1389 OPS. You're talking about a guy who has a raw power grade like in the 65-70 range. Like, he could be a 35 to 40 home run hitter every single year at the major league level. Really good plate discipline, doesn't swing and miss too much. He's just a stud. As for the Cincinnati Reds, I'm going to go down maybe a little bit deeper into their rankings here. Alfredo Duno, 18-year-old catcher, last year as a 17-year-old in the Dominican Summer League, was arguably one of the best players there. 6 homers, 9 doubles, and 41 RBIs in 45 games, hitting 303 with a 451 on base, 493 slugging, and 945 OPS. These are the things that jump out to you when you look at these Dominican Summer League players and these younger guys. They need to be elite at that level, and Duno was definitely that. I don't know how many clips we're going to be able to show of him because I don't know how many are available, but that's also why he's a player I want to watch, because like, we know Rhett Lauder's great. We know Sal Stewart and Cam Collier can hit, but Duno, that's the guy who could surprise some people. Sticking with that red theme, we got the Red Sox up next. I'm going down their list. There's a name that jumped out to me instantly. It's Blaze Jordan. You guys remember Blaze Jordan? He was kind of like the next Bryce Harper in a way, where online had a big personality, getting lots of views on YouTube with how he was just hitting bombs. And I gotta say, he still mashes. There may not be a position for him right now, but as a 20-year-old, got up to AA last year. 18 homers, 32 doubles, 86 RBIs, hitting 296 with a 351 on base, 481 slugging, 832 OPS. I love his swing. The dude can absolutely mash. Fun young player. Obviously had that social media hype, along with other great players like Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal, Ceddanne Rafaela, who could start the year at the major league level. Miguel Blyce is someone who I'm interested to see what he does. Red Sox got a nice little team here. Rockies, low-key, one of the most fun farm systems in baseball. Adele Amador, Chase Dolander, one of my favorite pitching prospects. Jordan Beck, Sterling Thompson. What about Yanquiel Fernandez? Yanquiel, 21-year-old Cuban. He was a 20-year-old last year, got all the way to Double-A, and really just had a great season up until about he reached Double-A, but he was still so young. 25 homers, 25 doubles, 92 RBIs. He hit 265 with a 313 on base, 486 slugging for 799 OPS, but he's a top 100 prospect, left-handed hitter, left-handed throwing, outfielder, really sweet swing, vicious, honestly. He hits the ball super hard. Big year for him at Double-A to see what he's going to look like as a prospect and what's a loaded system. Kansas City Royals was tough, so I went a little bit crazy here, and I went for a guy we've never actually seen pitch, and that's going to be Blake Walters. Now, while he hasn't pitched again in a professional game, the second-round pick out of the 2023 draft can pump the upper 90s, and when you tell me that in a system that maybe has a little bit of holes here and there, I'm interested. 19 years old, 6'4", pumps upper 90s with a good slider, still working on a third pitch, which again would kind of determine what his future outlook looks like, but with that big frame, good mechanics, and a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, sign me up all day to watch him pitch. Tigers are obviously sending Max Clark to the game, the new social media star essentially of the last draft. Jace Young will be there, the brother of Josh. Ty Madden, who's a really good pitcher. Wilmer Flores, and yes, that name sounds familiar because that is his brother, Wilmer Flores. I love Kevin McGonigal, though, another short king that I can't wait to watch play. Like, McGonigal makes solid contact consistently. 19 years old, 5'10", and while the power numbers may never be the big thing for McGonigal, never gonna strike out, on-base king, good fielder, all-around good player, just one of those guys that I think you're gonna see at some point get to the major league level and just be like, never the best at his position, but overall really good. And that's what I like about McGonigal. Smart dude. Heads-up player. Scrappy. Minnesota Twins got a lot of fun players like Walker Jenkins. Brooks Lee might be at the major league level this year. Charlie Soto throws like 100 miles an hour. Brandon Winokur is super fun. Look him up. But I gotta talk to you about Emmanuel Rodriguez. This is like one of my favorite prospects as well in minor league baseball. Someone put out a good tweet the other day that basically said he is if Adam Dunn had speed. And you might be saying like, what? What are you talking about? Let me just tell you his numbers real quick. Emmanuel Rodriguez last year in 19 games at high A as a 20-year-old hit 16 homers, 13 doubles, 9 triples, 55 RBIs with 20 stolen bases. He hit 240, but he was an on-base king, a 400 on-base percentage, 160 points higher. Like, what? Slugging at 463, OPS at 863, coming off of a really strong year in low A as a 19-year-old. I just want to watch this guy play baseball. He's fun, he's good, hits the ball hard, walks, steals. Awesome. Penultimate team here, the Chicago White Sox, and I gotta go with my boy, Brian Ramos. For those of you who used to watch my card channel when I still uploaded there, I was a big fan of him then, and I still am now. The 21-year-old, 22 in a couple days, has a chance to make the major league roster at some point this season. Second base, third base, they're gonna find a spot for him. All you gotta know is this guy absolutely rakes. Big exit velos on him. Really, really nice swing. 6'2", 225, like just a absolute brick house of a human. You've also got Colson Montgomery, a top prospect in the game, Edgar Cuero, George Walkow, a monstrous human being, and I've been told by my friend James Shiano, pitching whisperer, Jordan Leisure is someone that you got to keep an eye out for. Could be in the bullpen for the White Sox this year. Last and final team here, the New York Yankees, and the obvious choice is going to be Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones is a freak. Spencer Jones has to be one of the most exciting players right now in the minors. I think at the time of recording this, he still hasn't swung and missed in spring training, which is disgusting, and he's playing. 6'6", 235 out of Vanderbilt in the 2022 MLB draft. Last year between high A and double A as a 22-year-old, 16 homers, 29 doubles, 43 stolen bases. Yes, 43 stolen bases for a 6'6" power hitting outfielder, a 267 average, 336 on base, 444 slugging, and a 780 OPS. The numbers may not jump off the page, but the tools are just like so insane that you gotta watch Spencer Jones play baseball. He's awesome. Along with Roderick Arias, a former top international prospect. George Lombard Jr., first-round pick in last year's draft, one of my favorite guys out of that draft. Will Warren could make the major league roster. Brock Selvage fell in love with his game at the combine a few years ago, and even some Dominican Summer League guys like Keiner Delgado and Augustin Ramirez. So that was a lot of information for you. Again, big shout out to Major League Baseball for getting me these rosters early so I could drop this video for you guys as soon as physically possible. I can't wait to watch these games. Maybe we'll do some live watch-alongs with these as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the Spring Breakout games. Are you excited? Are you ready for them? Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the content. Follow me on my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in description. And that's where I'll wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all for another video.